Hello everyone and welcome to the Hylian Gamescast, the best Zelda podcast in the world. In today's episode, we will be covering some of the worst The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild reviews. Seriously, some of these gave the game a 0 or 1 out of 10, and complained about the most ridiculous things possible. Stupid things such as not being able to climb or run for a long time, despite the game giving you multiple ways of doing both. Whether it is leveling up stamina, wearing outfits which do so, or even eating special meals that upgrade your speed and stamina. A lot of these reviews were made on the same day or the day after Breath of the Wild released, and are so bad, it's hilarious reading through them. Now, we aren't saying Breath of the Wild is a perfect 11 out of 10, with absolutely no flaws, but these reviews are pure cringe. One of them even reads as if a 40-year-old man-child played the game for 2 minutes, completely sucked, died, and just decided he hates the entire Zelda series. On yesterday's video, we discussed the cancelled Wind Waker 2. No, not Phantom Hourglass or Spirit Tracks. The original, designed for the GameCube, which was cancelled to begin production of Twilight Princess 2. On its Zelda mailbag, we asked which dungeon and dungeon item you would have liked to have seen in the game. We actually had a lot of great answers from everyone, but the most interesting came from Cambrielle Johnson. I apologize if I got your name wrong. They say, dungeons in a Wind Waker 2 would be zombie themed, like in Skyward Sword's Ancient Cistern, Clawshot Dungeon in the Sky, one centered around Toon Epona where you rescue and use her in a dungeon, and one in the core of the planet, and you do a bunch of subterranean exploration. It would also be under the map, not on top of it. The really interesting thing here is in the Oracle series, there already exists a land called Subrosia, which is exactly that, a world beneath the surface. The easiest way to describe it is thinking of it as a world below Hyrule, but located in a different area. Congratulations on having the winning Zelda mailbag answer, Cambrielle Johnson, and receiving your shoutout. Today's Zelda mailbag question relates to today's topic. With these cringe-worthy reviews of Breath of the Wild, what do you believe is the worst thing about Breath of the Wild, and what would you change about it? Comment below to have a chance for your answer to be featured on tomorrow's video, and win our Zelda mailbag to receive the shoutout for your YouTube channel and username. You can also leave a question for us to ask on tomorrow's video, for a chance at a second shoutout. Now, let's begin our video. Hello everyone and welcome. I am Jesse, or GameOverJesse, for the Hylian Gamescast episode 72. Here with us is the Geek Apprentice, Ilya. So today we're going to be discussing some mixed and negative reviews, some of which are going to be hopefully an interesting read. So basically, we all know that Breath of the Wild is a great game. Whether you like the Zelda series or you don't like it, you have to admit that it is an overall good game. It won Game of the Year after all. Even if you are in the minority, then I don't know, if you just don't like adventure games, if you're more of a sports game fans or whatever, then it's understandable that you may not like The Legend of Zelda. But anyways, why would you be, I don't know. It's a bad intro. Like, why would you be watching a Zelda video on a Zelda podcast if you're not a fan of Zelda? So anyways, we thought it would be fun to just go through and read some ridiculous Zelda reviews to see what people have to say. These people that you see from time to time saying that Breath of the Wild is just an absolute garbage game. What are their reasoning behind it? Today we're going to find out. So Ilya,
or lack of reasoning.
yes. So I made the example earlier. Like, it would be akin to someone giving a review to Super Mario 64 and giving it a 1 out of 10 because it has horrible multiplayer. Where it's not designed to have multiplayer, it doesn't have multiplayer, so why would you give it a review for having bad multiplayer? It has no multiplayer. Of course it's not. It's not very smart. So Ilya, start us off with one of the reviews that you came across.
Yes. And I should clarify before this, there are a lot of people that give reviews that don't understand what the point of a review is. When you review something, you're trying to be helpful to people who are unsure about buying. Like on Amazon, when I buy clothing sometimes, if it doesn't look right on me and I return it, I don't give it a 1 star because it looked bad on me. I'll say, oh, it was really great quality, but it's not good if you're this shape, or, you know, the point is to help people. And some of these people that give bad reviews, some of them are just trolls. They just want attention. Some of them, I don't think they actually played it. Some of them are butthurt. And this is almost worse than the people that lashed out against Wind Waker, because Wind Waker was a case of judging a book by its cover. They were used to realistic graphics. They loved Ocarina of Time, rightly so, and looked at the look of Toon Link, Toon Zelda, and decided, I hate it. And then actually played it and realized, wait, this is a good game. So you can give a bad review and just be like, hey, I really dislike this aspect, but if you like that, like, I would never, like, sorry, I might be going on too long. I would never, like, I don't enjoy first-person shooters. I wouldn't go on and be like, oh, 007 is a terrible game because it's first-person shooter. It's like, okay, I don't enjoy first-person shooters, but if you do, this might be a good game for you. I mean, it's N64 and it's old, but you see my point. So this one review I found, they gave it a 4 out of 10. You'll see. By Fender Fix, sound, good. Graphics, very nice. Story, interesting. Gameplay, okay. Open world, bleep you Nintendo. So basically, don't buy this game. 0 out of 7 people found this helpful. You basically complimented this game. And then all of a sudden you get to open world and they didn't even explain what about the open world. Are you saying the open world wasn't well done? Are you saying you just don't like open world? Why are you bleep you Nintendo? So I don't understand, because they listed 5 different aspects. 4 out of 5 of them were at least above average, but they gave it a 4. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, people, the only way I imagine some of these is if it's just like a 10-year-old kid, like, giving their review or what they think is a review.
Maybe they, like, died a million times and they're like, this game sucks. It's
yeah.
Like, or you suck at it.
And it's kind of it's kind of sad to see games that would have, like, near perfect scores being ruined by these user reviews, which is like, on, if you are watching something, I guess not necessarily watching something, but for those of us who have, like, Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, and we scroll through and we see someone sharing an article from someone, and it's like, oh, everyone is hating blah 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 movie. And it's like, no, people aren't hating it, it's just people are being trolls, basically. But anyways,
negativity spreads quicker than positivity, unfortunately.
Yeah. So my review that I pick, which I hope I'm not taking one from you, this person gives it a 1 out of 10.
Oh gosh.
From Moogie Magoogle, says, this game is not perfect, in capital letters, which is obvious if you're giving it a 1 out of 10.
Is,
yeah. So this is a really long review. I'm just going to do the first 2 paragraphs instead of the entire thing. So they say, this game is not perfect. It is insanity to me that people can play this game and give it a perfect 10 out of 10 score when the most important element a video game should have is missing. Capital letters, fun. Simply put, this game is not fun. It is beautiful, it is breathtaking, it is large, beyond large, so large it is breathtaking, but it is not fun. As a diehard Zelda fan since birth, I messed up. It baffles me. Also, another thing is when you review a game, and this is on March 4th, so this is one day after the game came out that they posted this review.
There's no way you played it enough. No way you played it enough.
The interesting thing is, when you review a game, you have to base it on the music, the gameplay, the level design, the graphics, and everything. So if the game is beautiful as they say, that should at least be enough for like a 2 out of 3. Because it's like, it's crappy to play, but at least you can like stand there and have it look beautiful. But anyways, and there's no way they could say the music is bad either, because anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself, guys. As a diehard Zelda fan since birth, it baffles me that people are too blindsided by the massiveness of the world in this game to see how bland and obnoxiously tedious every second of the game is. Let me explain why this game has broke my heart into a million different pieces, which it won't be able to pick up off the floor because this game has no longer features heart pieces. Initial reaction. So this is the second paragraph. Breath of the Wild was made for the Wii U. The concept of having the Wii Motion Plus as a swinging sword... No. Okay. And Skyward Sword was swapped for the concept of having a gamepad in front of you to act as your menu, your map, and to feature inventive ways of using items throughout the game. All of this was utilized when Nintendo designed Wind Waker HD for the Wii U, and all of this was scrapped for Breath of the Wild when Nintendo decided to have it released alongside the Nintendo Switch, which doesn't offer a touchscreen gamepad. So we were forced to wait an extra year and a half for a game to be dumbed down for its original design. Within the first 5 minutes of playing, this struck me as a huge letdown, but I knew the game would be so epic, this major setback wouldn't matter if I was wrong. Moving on to the gameplay, because they said that's the important thing. So I was originally going to do 2 paragraphs, but now 3 because I want to know what they say about the gameplay. Nearly every tried and true mechanic from Zelda genre has been swapped out to fit what Nintendo clearly thinks of as a mature gaming mechanic. Instead of having a sword and shield you can upgrade, you now have a plethora of weapons to loot off enemies which break after a very short usage. It's like being punished for playing the game. Even the Master Sword breaks. Link runs along with a stamina bar like he did in Skyward Sword. In fact, he plays much like the Link in Skyward Sword, kind of, except he's now in a world 800 times the size, meaning he's unbearably slow. Like snail dragging in quicksand kind of slow. The world is massive, and you want to be able to scale every mountain, which you are forced to do at unbearably slow pace. The world also is not fun to explore. It's pretty to explore, but there's nothing to do that is actually fun because fighting, traveling, and item usage are all boring. So here's the thing that's wrong with this.
Everything.
You do start out slow because the initial area that you are on is the Great Plateau. You are meant to be slowed because they want you to not miss things. If you immediately start with a full stamina bar, you will speed through past everything. You won't take the time to slow down and experience everything. Eventually, when you are climbing, you can get upgrades that allow you to climb faster. The world is giant, and you do, even with a full stamina meter, you do run kind of slow, but that is why they give you a horse and later a motorcycle, which they did not know about at the beginning of this, so that can be put to the side. But at the same time, you're allowed to warp everywhere. Literally every 30 seconds that you walk somewhere, you will find a spot where you will be able to warp to. So whether it's one of the 120 shrines in the game, or one of the dozen or so towers, or the dozens of what are they called? The stables. Yes, the horse stables that you come across. Because each of the horse stables has a shrine conveniently located near it, so you can warp there. Even the main area on the Great Plateau you can warp to. So there are tons of places that you can warp to, which makes the exploration, it kind of takes away from the exploration, but it is how you are able to traverse such a huge world. It's almost like every single modern adventure game that is made, whether it be The Witcher or Skyrim or whatever. You're always running slow, and then you can find horses or other ways to travel faster, and then you have the warping for fast travel and stuff. So they're mocking it, like they're saying it sucks because it implements something that every single game that's ever existed has had. Would they rather you like run at the speed of light in this game? I don't really understand their concept here. And then they mentioned it was delayed for 1.5 years so they could put it on the Switch instead of the Wii U. That was not why it was delayed. It was delayed, like, the tiniest bit of research. They give the reasons why it was delayed. So all you would have to do is type in Breath of the Wild delayed, and then you get the reason, which was they kept having issues with the physics engine in the game, is why it was delayed, not so they could put it on the Switch. They ended up delaying it by like a few months to have it released on the Switch. Otherwise it would have released as a holiday title for 2016, but they held off for like 3 months so they could release it with the Switch. But every time it was delayed so that they could keep perfecting the actual physics engine, because they would say, like, when the wind blows, you can see certain items or objects like roll around or be blown around, and they would go in, they would fix one thing, so they would make an item as heavy as it's supposed to be, but then that would change something else to where the wind would blow, and then these giant heavy rocks would just be like blown through the sky, as if you used your stasis and held it in place and kept hitting it. So the wind would blow it and it would like shoot across a village or something as if you were attacking it. So then they would have to go in and make the wind weaker, but then that would make it so that when the wind blows when you're gliding, it doesn't move you the way that it's supposed to. So they had to keep fixing everything with the physics engine. That was the main problem that they had. So that's the reason it was delayed. So it's like all of the different excuses he's giving aren't the reasons that they're like, yeah, like it just doesn't make sense. It's like complaining about something but then not even being right about what you are complaining about. But anyways, Ilya, do you have another?
Yes, I have both my other ones. Do you want me to do another negative or a mixed?
Do a mixed and then do a negative, and we will move on to the next one.
Okay. So this mixed one, I mean, it's decently positive, but it's like moderate, comes from Wired. It doesn't have a number. It just says, its scale is unprecedented for a Zelda game, and it encourages you to move slowly. I want to honor that. And while I fear that the sheer breadth of the experience might ultimately push some players away, I'm relishing my time spent in this hushed, half-dead Hyrule. After 30 years of Legend of Zelda, I'm delighted to see the series has finally, it says, lost its way again. I don't know if that's a typo or if I just don't understand the meaning. What I like about this review is they say that like it encourages you to move slowly because there is so much there. And when they're saying like, oh, this might push people away because a lot of people want action every 5 seconds. And I'm like, what kind of action are you looking for? Because Breath of the Wild has it. It's not empty. There's always something to do. Maybe you just want a bunch of big dungeons and this isn't your style of game. That doesn't mean it's a bad game. But I thought that was a pretty tame review. I can't see the score. It doesn't say. But I like that they kind of clarify like, yeah, it might push some people away, but I think it's a really good thing. So
they mentioned the not having enough action.
Some people do, yeah.
The only way I could imagine that there isn't enough action is if you are running away from the action, because
yeah, literally
everywhere that you go from the beginning of the game, there are like Lionels that you'll randomly come across. There are Hinoxes that'll chase you. There are Guardians that will
Stone Talus,
kill you. Yes.
Mini Stone Talus, Stone Pebble.
Yeah, so there's so many different things that you come across that, like, at the beginning of the game you avoid. So it's like there's so much action, for me at least, that I was avoiding a lot of it. Like, I came across my first Hinox and I was hiding in one of those skull caves because it wasn't able to reach me, so I was kind of cheating, killing it, and I felt so accomplished when I killed it. And then you find out, like, no, that's just one Hinox out of, like, hundreds of others. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's more.
Every time, like, I get near a Lionel that I forget is in a certain area, I'm always like, oh, back away slowly, you're not ready.
Yeah, like the exclamation point pops on their head, and it's like, nope, I'm not meant to be here.
Because they detect you a lot quicker than the others.
Yeah. So what's the last one? Also, Alyssa in the chat says, hi, Ilya.
Oh, hi, Alyssa. So the last one, this one, well, I did the same thing with the last negative one, where I was just like, you'll just have to hear. They gave it a 1. It's like,
what's the date?
Mr. Throw, January 18th, 2018. So a little over a year ago. The game had been out for almost a year.
Yeah, this is like 9 months, 10 months after.
So they said, I don't understand how a game so mediocre gets so much love. Maybe you're mediocre. Anyway, I'll start bluntly by saying this game has more issues and problems you'll find than having fun. The autosave feature rarely happens, and by rarely I mean every 40 minutes or so, and you'll have to manually save. That means pause the game and go to the save menu, wait a few seconds, and you'll be doing that over and over. Not to mention that there are entire places that you can't even save. So if you have to leave or go somewhere or die, you'll have to start over from about 40 minutes back. Pathetic. The combat is horribly broken. If you so much as touch an enemy's fingernail, you'll die. Why? Because beep you. That's why. This game isn't hard. It's just repetitive BS.
Thank you. This is a PG podcast.
Yeah. I've been trying to stop swearing too. I just don't like it. Don't waste your time playing something just because the name of it. If you want to play a good Zelda game, go back to Ocarina of Time. Not all Zelda games are amazing as the fanboys claim. No, I never would claim that. Every single game is phenomenal. But okay, so first of all, the saves. Mine literally saves like every 5 minutes. Like I walk yards, miles away from an enemy camp. The reason I know that I'm about to walk into a danger is because I see saving at the bottom, and I'm like, what am I near? What am I near?
Yeah.
And I walk for like a couple more minutes, and I'm like, oh, it's because there's an enemy camp. There's a Hinox. There's a Lionel. Whatever. So it saves all the time. And also, there is nowhere that you are not allowed to save. You can save anywhere, and it'll literally put you at that point. Like, I don't know what they're talking about. Also, you will not die from just touching an enemy. Proof is a Majora's Mask. If you wear that mask, or you've done some of the Divine Beasts, and you get the masks from Kilton, you can literally be touching them and nothing will happen. Unlike old Zelda games, some of them, all you had to do was touch them and you'd get hurt. This one, you don't. They have to actually actively hit you. And they say the game isn't hard, it's just repetitive. I don't know where they're getting that from. So this is clearly, when they mention Ocarina of Time, even though there's been several games since then, I feel like this is someone, I don't know, but I feel like this is someone that has only ever played Ocarina of Time and has hated every game since because they can't move on. So,
I'm actually surprised Nintendo didn't do the same thing they did with Skyward Sword. For those who don't know, Skyward Sword, at the beginning, Nintendo thought it was so difficult that they broke tradition, and instead of beginning you with 3 hearts, they let you begin with 6 hearts. Because if I remember correctly, they tried making it so that you would be able to find heart pieces at the very beginning. There would be enough heart pieces at the very beginning that would reward you for doing certain things. Like when you find the professor's cat, you get a heart piece. When you find the Loftwing, you get a heart piece. So they had so many different heart pieces at the beginning that, like, some of them were optional, but then some of them were like mandatory. Like you would do something that you have to do to progress the story and you would get a heart piece for it. And altogether they had it so that you would be able to get the 6 hearts before you would leave Skyloft, similar to how you just begin the game with 6 hearts. But instead of having it optional to leave with 6 hearts, they thought that the beginning of the game was so difficult, they wanted to make it mandatory that you have 6 hearts before you leave Skyloft. So they just ended up removing the option to acquire the hearts, and they just gave you the heart because some people needed the 6 hearts when you come across the chew jelly or the bats in the cave or whatever that thing is that like hunts you down, or the Deku Babas that you come across that like you have to hit them a certain way. And because of the motion control, they made it so that you're required to have 6. Otherwise you would have died super easy in that game. But with Breath of the Wild, like, it gives you the option from the very beginning. Well, similar in Breath of the Wild, the way that it works on the Great Plateau is like it's mandatory for you to get 4 spirit orbs. So in the same way that Skyward Sword would have forced you to collect the heart pieces by doing things that you had to do anyways before you left Skyloft, Breath of the Wild requires you to do things before you leave the Great Plateau. And those things that you do just happen to give you an option to pick between a stamina upgrade or a piece of heart, or not a piece of heart, but a full heart upgrade. So there's that similarities there, and then you have the option to like cook potions and stuff like that. But yeah, I could see you would immediately die if like you're running around in the cold weather, not being smart and using a sweater or like the chili peppers or spicy food and stuff, because that drains your health over time. And plus there are enemies there, and touching the water I think automatically takes a lot of health away because it's so cold. But anyways, I can kind of see where they're coming from, but at the same time it's like you're just not playing the game right, you know?
Yeah, it's like, is it as bad as you're saying to give it a 1? Also, your video's buffering on my Discord.
It looks fine for me. I'm not having issues on my side, which means
okay.
The YouTube
I mean, I'm not looking
aren't.
at the YouTube. I have like chat open.
I closed it and opened it back, so maybe that helps.
I mean, as long as it was fine on the YouTube, I didn't know. I was just like, it's buffering over here.
Yeah. So everyone in the chat, put your favorite and least favorite things about Breath of the Wild, or if you know of something incredibly ridiculous that you've heard your friends or people argue about, or if you have something that you dislike about Breath of the Wild that you haven't heard other people say they dislike, so something you think is unique to yourself, let us know. No, Tubes, Daniel is not here. He sadly was kidnapped by an elk ninja. He was kidnapped by an elk ninja. Maybe that's something you can take up with him. It snowed, so transit is a disaster here.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that was everything for that, so we can move on to the next one, right? Would you like to take it, since it's the Animal Crossing
Sure.
thing?
Also, just to respond to Michael in the chat, he says, never played Breath of the Wild, but I'd say I don't like how you can go to the final boss immediately. Notice how you can. You don't have to. It's not like they're saying go to the final boss immediately. So that's the beauty. Some people want that challenge, and it offers people that challenge. So
yeah,
I wouldn't go to the final boss immediately. I wouldn't want to do that either, because I would stink at it. But there's so much in the world that I can do, and I honestly actually procrastinate. I still haven't finished Breath of the Wild because I'm like, no, because I always find more things, so I just keep going. But yes, Animal Crossing. Okay. And other things too.
Tubes on Twitter, or Gus, they had a conversation about a question that I guess they want me to answer for the mailbag. So,
okay.
In case you are here, Gus and Tubes, when the mailbag begins, we will answer that. So, don't worry, I have it.
Do I need to do the intro for this one?
No, because the way that I've been doing it is if it doesn't have an intro, like Daniel didn't do a couple of the intros on the last one, so I'm just gonna, I'll just do it. So you're free to just start reading.
Okay. So.
Hey everyone, it's me again, Elia Rose. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video. And you know what? If you're a fan of videos like this, you should totally subscribe and give this video a like and comment below to let us know what type of videos you would like to see us create in the future. And if you would really like to support all of us here at the GameOverJesse channel, please consider purchasing a GameOverJesse t-shirt or becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where you can receive many rewards, such as getting shoutouts, having any topic or theory that you select discussed on the podcast or made into its own video, having your question answered, joining on as a guest on the podcast, and playing with us during our Twitch live streams at twitch.tv/GameOverJesse, and much, much more.